Hey guys, it's Rob here from CMI High Tech, and I've got a really exciting new product to show today. You've probably seen this guy before, Ableton Push, a fantastic controller in its own right, but today it's going to be replaced with what's under old mate Rick here, and that is the Ableton Push 2. Physically, it shares a really similar footprint to the Push 1, except it is a little bit longer and a little bit wider, but it is shallower and lighter. So it's not really going to take up any more room on your desk or on your studio setup than the Push 1 would. It's no longer developed in conjunction with Akai. Ableton have gone out on their own limb and they're manufacturing it by themselves now. And because of that, the pads are different. They actually feel a hell of a lot better than the Push 1, and they're actually a lot shallower and far more responsive. Obviously, the number one kind of standout feature that really sets this apart from the Push 1 is this beautiful OLED screen up the top here. And we'll have a look into it in depth in a minute. Ableton tell us that it's come straight out of like high-end car manufacturers' systems, so it just looks the same at any angle and it looks fantastic. It's full color and it kind of reminds me of the screen on the OP1. The other thing that's obviously changed, you still got the row of knobs across the top here, but now instead of having two rows of pads below the screen, you've got one row of pads above, one below. In my opinion, that makes navigation so much easier because whatever's listed across the top, the bottom or the top of the screen is now mapped to each one of these pads, so you can really quickly kind of navigate your way around. So if we dive right in and we go, let's start with the browse function. If I jump into browse, we get straight into our device browser and it is really slick. The preview function is now inbuilt into the controller. So I can scroll through each of my sounds and I can actually turn preview on to hear them. And you can turn that preview on and off. So if we go ahead and load that in, the load button's here now. And you can actually use all the knobs at the top here to navigate your way around. You can also use the navigation arrows as well if you choose. And you've also got these two buttons up here also mapped to navigation as well. So you've got a lot of options when you're navigating through your instruments and your libraries really quickly. And it's really smooth and feels very instant. So we'll go ahead and load in that. You can see here you get all the parameters on this really nice OLED display. As I turn the knobs, you get instant feedback as well. Now these are just my macro controls. If I dive in deeper, I can go into the actual instrument and you see there I can choose the oscillator shape and the waveform, and I actually get a visual representation. So when I choose saw, I actually get the shape of a saw, noise, square waves and sine waves, etc. And I can dive in deeper to any of the instruments or effects loaded in that rack by going into each of these tabs up here, and each of the buttons will reflect a different instrument or a different layer within that instrument rack. So if I want to now add a device in the chain, I go add device, I jump into my audio effects, let's load in an auto filter, same process, load that in, and let's go and add in another device, maybe just a compressor or something. Okay, so now you see across the top we've got our instrument rack, we've got the instrument and then the plug-in of the dynamic tube, and it's underlined, which tells me it's in an instrument rack. Then we've got separate tabs here for the auto filter and the compressor. Now, one really cool thing that you can do from the Push is that I can actually choose the compressor and use this knob, and I can change its position in the chain. So now I've got the compressor before the auto filter. One thing I should mention is that as of filming this, we're actually using the Push 2 with a new version of Ableton, which is 9.5, and 9.5 itself has some fantastic features, and one of these features is these new filter models. Now I've jumped into the auto filter, so now we've got all these analog modeled filters that sound fantastic. filter is called the MS2. I'll let you kind of guess where that's been taken from. The next one is the low pass OSR. And you see they go into self-oscillation quite nicely. The third new one is the PRD, that may or may not stand for Prodigy. Okay, so aside from all of that, one of the huge new additions to 9.5 and Push 2 is this new sampling workflow. It's based all on Simpler, and Simpler has been completely broken apart and rebuilt from the ground up to create some great new functionality and integration with the Push 2. So if I go and add a new track, so add a new MIDI track, load that up. Okay. The other thing I should note as well is now when you load up an instance of Ableton, it'll automatically color code each one of your channels a different color, which is a nice way. It saves you from going to have to do each one of those manually. And every time I load up a new track, it'll be in a new color as well. So let's go and browse and jump into my user library. And again, it's previews on. I can preview the tracks. Now these buttons, these knobs at the top are all touch sensitive as well. So when you load a file in, it automatically defaults to classic mode, which is kind of the simpler that we already know, and has that same functionality. So, but let's just jump in here and have a quick look. So I change my start point. So it'll change the pitch of the sample depending where I play it on the keyboard. Now if I hit Simpler to get into the next level of settings, and I jump into Global here, I can change the glide mode. So it was currently off, but let's switch it to glide and change the glide time. Crank that right up. So now I can start playing the sample. If I hit another pad now, it's going to slowly ramp up. Okay, if we jump over to one-shot mode, jump into the advanced settings, again, got all those global envelope, warp, filter settings, etc. In the main page, you've got the option whether you want to trigger it. So it behaves like a one-shot, or you can gate. So I just hold my pad down till I want it to stop playing. So if I jump across now to this new mode, slicing mode, what it's going to do is detect the transients of the sample and then slice it over all of your pads. So I'll just wind the sensitivity up to 100%, and you see that it's sliced it over quite a number of pads. But then if I start to wind that sensitivity down, it's going to reduce the number of pads, of course. So just right now, if I wind that sensitivity down, of course we're going to get longer samples. If I just say want to edit this particular sample, I can get right in there and change the start point by zooming in. And this is what I meant by the zoom, is that it's smart enough to zoom in on the particular sample you selected. If I choose another sample, it'll maintain the zoom but move across to that sample. So if I wanted to change the start point, I've got this nudge option here, and I can just move it over. to get it the way I want. And then zoom back out again to see my entire sample. You've got a couple of different playback modes. You've got mono, of course, so it's just going to play one sample at a time, one slice at a time, I should say. Poly, of course, means you can play simultaneously across multiple pads. And through mode is as long as I've got my finger on the pad, it's going to continue playing through the whole sample until I release. The other option we have with creating slices as well is if we turn pad slicing on, wind the sensitivity all the way down, we can create slices on the fly simply by tapping a pad as it plays back. So I start the playback of the sample, and every time I hit a pad, it's going to create a new slice for me. Then I can go in, if I get that wrong, and jump in and use the nudge function and all of that to tidy it up. So if I play that back, right, so now I've created 12 slices there. If I want to go in and edit that slice, I can use the zoom, and again, nudge to tidy that up. Okay, so because this is all happening in one version of, one instance of Simpler, you know, when I start to want to apply a filter or something like that within it, it's of course going to conform all the slices to that. So what they've added is a cool little function called convert. So if I hit convert, it gives me the option to convert it to a drum rack. And what that's going to do is copy each one of my slices into a different pad of the drum rack, and then of course I can do everything I can do in a drum rack with my new slices. Okay, so I've just loaded up a new session because I wanted to show as well the mix view, because the metering has changed with 9.5 and the Push 2. Before you could only see peak metering, now you actually get peak and RMS metering across all your channels and your master channel, and on the Push 2 it looks especially good. So if I jump over to mix and I hit play, you can see there you get this really nice metering, peak and RMS across all the channels. If I want, I've also got pans and sends for all the channels. If I want to delve into just one particular channel, I just hit mix again, and now I get just that channel settings, sends, panning, track volume, etc. So that's the Push 2 in a nutshell. If you're watching this, it should be readily available to purchase now. And just reiterating again, I really like this controller. You know, the build quality, the feel of the pads, and of course the screen really do take something that was already a really good controller and made it an exceptional controller. If you do have any questions about it that you want answered maybe before you look at purchasing it, please post them in the comments below. We'll do our best to answer those. Otherwise, subscribe to our channel, give us a like if you kind of liked what you saw. We're going to be posting more of these videos in weeks to come, so please stay tuned, and thanks for watching.